All right, let's dive in. You know that feeling, right? That drive to master something, figure out the fastest way, kind of push the limits.
Oh, absolutely. It's like a fundamental human thing, isn't it?
Exactly. And in video games, that impulse has kind of exploded into this whole world of speedrunning.
Which at its heart is just finishing a game, or maybe just a part of it, as blindingly fast as you possibly can.
Yeah, we're talking every single millisecond counting. And usually you've got video proof, online leaderboards, the whole deal. And it's fascinating how it went from, just messing around in arcades to this huge global thing. Complex strategies, big communities, even these massive charity events.
That's quite the evolution.
So today our mission is really to unpack all that. Where did it start? How did the tech help it grow? How did the community form? And what's its wider impact been?
And what's so interesting to me is how speedrunning isn't just about finishing. It's about this incredibly deep dive into how a game actually works.
Right.
Finding ways to push mechanics, exploit things, maybe even completely sidestep what the developers wanted you to do. It's almost like improvising with the code itself.
Pushing the boundaries of what's possible.
Yeah, exactly. And the level of mastery involved, it's genuinely surprising, way beyond what a casual player would ever encounter.
I totally see that link. It's that efficiency drive, but, in a digital playground. And this need for speed, it was there in gaming way before we called it speedrunning.
Oh, for sure. Think back.
Like early 80s, Pac-Man, people trying super hard to clear all 256 levels fast.
Yep. Or even Tetris. The Grandmaster, the leaderboards ranked you on grade, sure, but then time. So speed was baked right in.
Right. And arcade racers, obviously. Always chasing that top times, like optimizing your commute, but way more fun.
Huh. Yeah, pretty much. But it wasn't just players doing their own thing. Some early developers were nudging them towards speed.
Oh, really? How so?
Well, take Metroid in 86 or Prince of Persia in 89. They actually showed your time when you finished acknowledging speed.
Ah, okay. Subtle hints.
A bit more direct was Wolfenstein 3D in 92. They put in par times for levels, basically John Romero's own best times, like a direct challenge.
That's throwing down the gauntlet.
Definitely. And even magazines got involved. Nintendo Power, early 90s. They ran speedrun challenges for stuff like Metroid the Second, Team NT4, compete against the editors.
Huh. So it raises that question, doesn't it? How much was developer design versus just players being players and pushing things?
It's a great question. Probably a mix, like you said. But the real catalyst, the thing that turned individual efforts into a proper community, that was the internet.
And one game in particular, right?
Doom, 1993. You could argue it's the true origin point for the modern speedrunning scene we know today.
Why Doom specifically?
It had this killer feature, built-in recording and playback of demos, these tiny little .lmp files.
Okay.
Now, this sounds small, but back then on the early internet, being able to easily share these tiny files was huge. It meant verifiable proof, widespread sharing. This was way before streaming video was practical.
So that little technical detail basically sparked the whole thing.
It really did. And almost immediately, people started building places to share them. Early 94, Christina Strunoff-Norman starts the LMP Hall of Fame, which is an FTP server, basically, but it was the first real Doom demo hub, an early leaderboard.
Wow, an FTP server. Takes you back.
Doesn't it? Then later that year, Simon Woodlake launches Comp@N. That got more formal, established categories we still use, like any percent, just finish fast, glitches allowed, and 100% get everything.
Okay, so structure starts appearing.
Exactly. Then Quake comes out in 96, and the pattern repeats. Nolan Raddick's Flex starts Nightmare Speed demos in 97.
Right.
And then he releases Quake Done Quick, a full game speedrun demo. That was huge. It showed so many more people what speedrunning was and got them hooked.
Kind of like the first big showcase.
Absolutely. And these various efforts eventually kind of merged into the Speed Demos Archives, SDA, in 98. Became a central place for runs across lots of games, known for being pretty strict about quality.
So moving from just Doom or just Quake to a multi-game platform like SDA, that was a big step.
Oh, massive.
Yeah.
It cemented the idea that speedrunning wasn't just tied to one game. It was a skill, a competitive approach you could apply anywhere.
And once that happened, I guess players started getting even more creative in how they applied it, right? Looking for weirder ways to save time.
You bet. As the community grew, the techniques got way more sophisticated. People started actively hunting for glitches, bugs, anything that could shave off seconds.
That's where sequence breaking comes in.
Precisely. Bypassing parts of the game the developers expected you to complete, often using a clever glitch. The term actually got popularized because of Metroid Prime back in 2002.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, a player named Stephen Banks figured out how to skip a boss, Thardus, to get the gravity suit way earlier than intended. Sequence broken.
That's awesome. So what are some of the legendary glitches, the ones everyone talks about?
Oh, there's some classics. It's funny, developers see bugs as mistakes to fix. Speedrunners, they see them as features. Critical tools almost.
Right, repurposing the flaws.
Exactly. It shows incredible ingenuity. Like Super Mario 64's backwards long jump, the BLJ.
Ah, yes, the BLJ.
Mario builds up insane speed jumping backwards into walls because, unlike forward movement, his backward speed isn't capped in the same way. Lets you blast through walls, skip huge sections.
Mind-blowing.
Or in Zelda, Ocarina of Time, the wrong warp. It involves tricking the game's loading system, manipulating how it handles entrances and cutscenes to literally warp Link to places he shouldn't be, like way later in the game.
That sounds incredibly complex, requires deep knowledge of the programming.
It really does. And then the ultimate level, maybe, is arbitrary code execution, ACE.
ACE. What's that?
Basically figuring out how to inject your own code into the game's memory while it's running. You can force it to do almost anything, like instantly trigger the end credits warp.
Okay, that's literally hacking the game from the inside out.
Pretty much. And all this glitch hunting and boundary pushing leads naturally into another area. Tool-assisted speedrunning, or TAS.
Right, TAS. That's different from regular runs, yeah.
Totally agree. TAS uses tools emulators, frame-by-frame control, save states, even directly editing the game's memory with hex editors to create a theoretically perfect run. One that a human could never actually perform in real time.
So, like a proof of concept for the absolute fastest possible time.
Sort of, yeah. A really famous early one was Morimoto's Super Mario Bros. 3 TAS back in 2003. Finished it in 11 minutes. Compared to like 5 hours casually, it blew people's minds even before YouTube really took off.
Wow. But they don't compete directly with human players.
No. TAS runs aren't considered legit for leaderboards against human real-time attack, RTA runs. But they're incredibly valuable. They're like research tools.
How so?
They help discover the absolute optimal routes, find hidden mechanics, push the limits in ways humans can then try to emulate, even partially. They inspire the RTA runners.
Ah, okay, so it's like a research division for RTA.
Kinda, yeah. And because there are so many ways to play glitches, no glitches, getting everything, getting nothing, the community standardized categories.
Right, you mentioned any percent and 100%.
Yep. Then there's low percent, finishing with the absolute minimum completion possible. And glitchless, or no major glitches, which obviously limit or ban bug exploitation.
It seems like having all those categories would really help keep things competitive, but also welcoming. More ways to succeed.
Definitely. It caters to different skills and preferences. You might be amazing at execution, but hate glitch hunting, or vice versa. It fosters both competition and collaboration, strangely enough.
And that variety probably helped it grow beyond just online forums, right, into actual events.
Absolutely, the spectacle phase. There were early meetups, sure, like SpeedCon 2000 in Finland for Quake runners. Small scale.
But then things got bigger.
The real shift was in 2008 with the Speed Gamers. They did a charity speedrunning marathon. Showed it could be used for fundraising. That was a light bulb moment.
Ah, the charity angle.
Exactly. Inspired by them, folks from the Speed Demos archive community started Classic Games, done quick CGDQ in January 2010.
The first GDQ.
The very first one. Held in someone's basement, basically.
Right.
But they raised over $10,000 for care.
Wow, from the first event.
Yeah. And it just snowballed. Now you have the two big ones every year. Awesome Games Done Quick, AGDQ in winter for the Prevent Cancer Foundation.
And Summer Games Done Quick, SGDQ, for Doctors Without Borders.
Right. And the impact of GDQ is just immense, especially because of that charity link. Raising millions consistently gave it this huge legitimacy boost outside the core gaming world.
Yeah, the numbers are staggering. What are we talking now?
Well, as of mid-2025, across all their events, GDQ had raised something like over $54 million from almost 1 million donations. It's incredible.
That's phenomenal, turning a hobby into serious philanthropy.
It really is. And a huge part of that success was the move to live streaming, going from just sharing demo files to these live marathon events.
With commentary, right. That seems key.
Oh, absolutely crucial. Having knowledgeable commentators explaining the crazy tricks, the strategies, the glitches, it makes it understandable, exciting, even if you don't know the game.
Lowers the barrier to entry for viewers.
Exactly. Plus, live streaming adds that real-time suspense. You can interact via chat, ask questions.
Yeah.
It makes it a performance, not just a recording.
How important do you think that commentary really was for bringing speedrunning mainstream?
I'd say it was absolutely essential. It translates the complexity. Without it, a lot of runs would just look confusing. But the commentary makes it a narrative, a feat of skill you can appreciate.
Yeah, agreed.
And speaking of reaching wider audiences, those streaming platforms in the 2010s were everything. YouTube first, right? Made it easy to just share runs.
Definitely. Thousands of runs got uploaded between, say, 2007 and 2011. Made people familiar with the concept.
But then Twitch came along.
And Twitch became the place for live speedrunning. Perfect for the marathon events, but also for individual runners building their own audiences.
Allowed for interaction, donations, sponsorships. Made it possible for some people to actually do it professionally or semi-professionally. It really changed the landscape. So looking back, that jump from demos to YouTube to Twitch live streams, it's a huge shift in how we engage with this stuff, isn't it?
Totally. Much more immediate, more connected between the runner and the audience.
And alongside the streaming platforms, you needed a place to track all these runs, right?
The leaderboards.
Speedrun.com. Founded in 2014, it just exploded. Pretty quickly became the main hub, overtaking SDA for most communities.
Hosts runs for thousands games.
Tens of thousands.
Yeah.
Millions of individual runs logged. It's the central database now.
Wild. And what's always struck me as unique about speedrunning compared to, say, traditional esports is the collaboration.
Right. It's such a paradox. Fiercely competitive, everyone wants that world record, but incredibly collaborative.
People share strategies openly, glitch discoveries.
All the time. Road optimization, new skips, setup tutorials, it's all shared. The idea is that collaboration helps everyone push the game further, find faster times collectively. There's tons of theory crafting, people working together to figure out the absolute limits.
That's a really different dynamic from pro teams keeping strats secret.
Very different. It's more about pushing the boundaries of the game itself together.
And that whole approach, pushing games to their limits, finding unintended paths, that's actually started influencing game developers, hasn't it?
Oh, absolutely. You see it in a few ways. One is embracing glitches.
Instead of just patching them out.
Sometimes, yeah. Or even designing games expecting speedrunners to break them, like Getting Over It with Bennett Foddy or Cluster Truck. They lean into that difficulty and potential for clever exploits.
And replayability, too.
Definitely. Speedrunning showed there's a huge appetite for replaying games, optimizing runs, so now you see more games designed with that in mind. Multiple paths, levels built for speed. Think Celeste or Super Meat Boy.
Makes sense. And the most obvious influence is probably just in-game timers and leaderboards being standard now.
Exactly. Games like Super Mario Odyssey or Hollow Knight build that competition right in. It's a direct nod to the speedrunning impulse.
So looking at the bigger picture, how does speedrunning fit into the whole gaming and esports landscape?
It occupies this really interesting niche. It's competitive, yes, but practically against the clock, against yourself, against the limits of the game. It's about pure skill and mastery in a way that's different from player versus player games.
Less about outplaying an opponent, more about outplaying the game itself.
Precisely. And its cultural ripple effect goes beyond games. Think about how platforms like YouTube and Twitch grew, partly because speedrunners needed places to share videos efficiently.
Shaped digital media consumption.
You could argue that. And even the term speedrunning popping up everywhere now. People talk about speedrunning chores or tasks.
Yeah, I've heard that.
It seeped into the general lexicon. Does that maybe suggest something about our culture? This broader focus on optimization, efficiency, even in everyday life, fueled by the digital age.
That's a really interesting thought. What a journey, though, seriously.
Yeah.
From arcade high scores to this massive, sophisticated, collaborative, global thing that also raises millions for good causes.
It's remarkable.
The constant innovation, finding new tricks, organizing communities, is really defined by that relentless push.
Yeah, it's a testament to player ingenuity, technical skill, and just how communities form and evolve online.
A really powerful example of the relationship between players, games, and the platforms that connect them.
Absolutely. And, looking forward, as platforms like speedrun.com keep growing, as developers keep responding to it, speedrunning offers this powerful reminder, doesn't it? That sometimes the best way to understand a complex system is to try and break it, or at least approach it from a completely unexpected angle.
Playful subversion leading to insight.
Exactly. It makes you wonder. What could we optimize or understand differently if we applied that same mindset, that same unconventional approach to challenges outside of games in our own lives?